I found out at 52 that the daughter I had raised my entire life wasn't biologically mine. And yet, not for a single second did I regret being her mother. The truth came out in a quiet hospital room that smelled faintly of antiseptic and overbrewed coffee. Machines hummed beside my bed, while an IV dripped steadily into my arm. My kidneys were failing. Without a transplant, the doctors said, I might have only a few years. Emily, my only child, stood near the window, her eyes swollen from crying. "Mom, we're not a match," she said softly. I frowned. "But our blood types are the same." "It's not the blood type." She walked closer and took my hand. Her fingers were ice cold. They ran more tests, genetic testing. Something inside me tightened. "And?" Her voice trembled. "The DNA test shows you're not my biological mother." For a moment, the world seemed to tilt sideways. "What do you mean, not my mother?" "It means," she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks, "that 30 years ago, the hospital must have switched babies." I gave birth on a freezing January night in 1993 at a crowded public hospital outside Boston. 6 women shared the maternity ward, separated only by thin curtains and exhaustion. The labor lasted 12 hours before ending in an emergency C-section. I didn't fully wake until evening, when a nurse placed a tightly wrapped newborn in my arms. "Congratulations," she said, "you have a daughter." I remember staring at the tiny red face and feeling absolutely nothing. No rush of love, no overwhelming connection, just numbness and pain from the anesthesia. I thought something was wrong with me. My husband Mark visited 2 days later. He glanced at the baby and shrugged. "She looks like my mother," he muttered before stepping outside to smoke. Our marriage was already collapsing. He drank too much, worked too little, and when I told him I was pregnant, he'd said flatly, "If you keep it, you're on your own." I kept her. He lasted 3 months after we brought Emily home, then disappeared with a short note. "Sorry, I'm not ready for this." Child support came for about a year, then stopped. I never chased him. I didn't have the energy. It was just the 2 of us after that. Emily was a quiet child, unusually quiet. She didn't cling to me, didn't like being hugged, rarely said, "I love you." At daycare, teachers worried. "She keeps to herself, maybe talk to a specialist?" The psychologist said she was perfectly healthy, just introverted. Still, it felt like she lived behind an invisible wall I couldn't cross. When I tried to hold her, her little body would stiffen. At night, after working 2 jobs, administrative assistant by day, bookkeeping by night, I would lie in bed and wonder, am I a bad mother? But I kept trying. Music lessons, art classes, library trips every Saturday. I bought her books even when it meant cutting my own grocery budget. Emily devoured them. By 10, she was reading classics meant for adults. History became her passion. I was so proud of her. And yet, the distance remained. I told myself it was just personality, teenage years, independence. But even when she grew into adulthood, the quiet space between us never fully disappeared. She earned a scholarship to NYU and moved into a dorm. She came home maybe once a month, always polite but reserved, answering questions with short, careful sentences. After graduation, she became a high school history teacher and rented a small apartment. "Move back home," I suggested once. "Save money." She shook her head gently. "I need my own space, Mom." It hurt, but I didn't argue. At 28, she married Daniel, a soft-spoken software engineer. They had a small courthouse ceremony and told me afterward. "We didn't want a big event," she explained. "You know me." Yes, I knew everything about my daughter, and somehow, nothing at all. Then I turned 52, and everything fell apart. At first, it was just fatigue, then swelling, then tests. The diagnosis came like a hammer. End-stage kidney disease. Dialysis 3 times a week. The transplant waiting list could take years. "Unless you find a living donor," the doctor said. Emily arrived the very next morning. "I'll do it," she said immediately. "Test me." "It's dangerous," I protested. "You're my mother." For the first time in decades, I saw something fierce in her eyes, determination. Hope flickered inside me. Maybe this crisis would bring us closer. Our blood types matched. I allowed myself to believe everything would be okay. Then came the extended testing and the truth. The hospital tracked down records from that night 3 decades earlier. 4 women had delivered within hours of each other. 2 had passed away. 1 couldn't be located. The 4th, Caroline Walker, still lived nearby. She agreed to meet. My heart pounded as I walked into the hospital cafe days later, convinced I was about to see the daughter who shared my DNA. Caroline was elegant, composed, dressed in a tailored coat. Beside her stood a woman around 30, tall, confident, scrolling through her phone. "This is my daughter, Olivia," Caroline said. We exchanged polite greetings. Caroline explained that she'd always felt Olivia was different from her, not just in looks, but temperament. DNA confirmed it within days. Olivia was mine, my biological child. I studied her face, searching for some reflection of myself. The curve of a nose, the shape of her eyes. Nothing. She felt like a stranger you pass in an airport. Successful, too. Columbia law graduate, corporate attorney, married to a financier, a luxury condo in Manhattan. Caroline spoke about her achievements with unmistakable pride. Meanwhile, my chest tightened with a strange grief. For years, I'd never lived, memories we never shared. Finally, Olivia looked up. "My mother says you need a transplant." "Yes." She hesitated. "I can't be your donor. I'm relocating to London next month for work. Surgery, recovery, it's not something I can take on right now." Caroline gasped. "Olivia?" "What?" she said quietly. "You want me to give an organ to someone I just met? Biology doesn't create feelings overnight." Her voice wasn't cold, just honest, almost frightened. "I can help financially," she added. $300,000, whatever you need." Then she stepped into the hallway, covering her mouth as if holding something in. I suddenly felt very, very cold. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Olivia was my blood, my genes. Would she have loved me differently if I had raised her? Or was love something you build through scraped knees, bedtime stories, and showing up again and again, no matter how tired you are? Emily had offered me her kidney without hesitation, a piece of her own body, not out of obligation, out of love. By morning, my thoughts were still spinning when my phone rang. It was Caroline. "Olivia changed her mind. She wants to see you." At the cafe, Olivia looked pale, younger somehow. "I couldn't sleep," she admitted. "If I walk away and you die, I'll carry that forever. I don't know how to love you yet. Maybe I never will. But I want the chance to know you, and for that, you need to live." Before I could respond, more testing revealed something unexpected. We weren't compatible after all. When the doctor explained it, Olivia cried openly. "I can't even do this right," she whispered. I pulled her into an embrace. She didn't pull away. "You already did the important part," I told her. "You tried." She transferred the money anyway, labeling it simply, "From your daughter." But by then, a miracle had appeared. Through a paired donor program, Emily could donate her kidney to another patient whose relative was compatible with me, a medical exchange that would save 2 lives at once. When I told Caroline, she was quiet for a long moment before saying softly, "You're lucky. You have a daughter who truly loves you." "You do too," I replied gently. After a pause, she sighed. "We gave Olivia everything, elite schools, tutors, travel, but we forgot the simplest thing, to just be there, to love without conditions." The surgery was successful. When I woke in intensive care, the first thing I saw was Emily asleep in a chair, her head resting beside my arm. "Mom," she whispered when my eyes opened. "I'm alive," I said. "Because we're a team," she replied, squeezing my hand. Tears slipped silently into my hair. "I'm grateful for that hospital mistake," I told her later. "Without it, I wouldn't have you." She smiled. "And I wouldn't have you either. Seems fair." 8 months have passed. The kidney is working beautifully. Emily visits every weekend. We drink tea, talk about her students, her husband, ordinary things that suddenly feel extraordinary. Sometimes we just sit together in comfortable silence. Olivia calls once a month from London. Our conversations are still careful, a little awkward, but no longer distant. We aren't strangers anymore. Caroline confessed to me recently, "I envy you. You gave your daughter yourself. I gave mine everything, except that." I don't know which of us is happier, but I know this: motherhood isn't measured in DNA. It lives in sleepless nights, in homemade soup brought to a hospital, in the quiet courage of a child willing to risk her life so yours can continue. On my nightstand sits a photo taken after the surgery. Emily on one side, smiling warmly. Olivia on the other, serious but present. And me in the middle, holding both their hands. 2 daughters, one by life, one by blood, and each, in her own way, gave me a second chance to live.